The Miracles of Jesus from the Brick Bible for Kids. When Jesus was an adult, he went to the Jordan River to be baptized, and God spoke from heaven, saying, "You are my one beloved Son. I am very pleased with you." And the Holy Spirit came down and rested on Jesus like a dove. Jesus gathered a dozen men who became his closest followers. They were known as the 12 disciples, and they traveled with Jesus. One of the disciples was named Peter. While visiting Peter's house, Jesus saw that his mother-in-law was lying in bed, sick with a fever. Jesus touched her hand and commanded the fever to leave her. Immediately the fever left her, and she got up and began to serve food to Jesus and his disciples. Jesus traveled to another town, and people brought to him a blind man, hoping he could be healed as well. Jesus spit on the man's eyes and then placed his hands over his eyes. The man's vision returned. He opened his eyes and could now see everything very clearly. Then he ran off to tell everyone about this miracle. At another town, a man who was covered in a terrible skin disease knelt down before Jesus and begged him, saying, "If you are willing, you can heal me." Feeling very sorry for the man, Jesus reached out and touched him, saying, "I am willing. Be healed." The disease left him immediately, and he was healed. When people heard of all these things, they came from all over the land to meet Jesus, the miracle worker. And one day some of the people tried to bring a paralyzed man to Jesus at a house, but it was too crowded to bring the man inside. So they brought the paralyzed man on top of the house. After removing the roof tiles right above Jesus, they lowered him down in a stretcher. Jesus said to the man, "Stand up, pick up your stretcher, and go home." And the man stood up, picked up his stretcher, and walked off. And all the people who saw this were amazed. Around this same time, a man named Jairus came and knelt before Jesus and begged him, saying, "Oh, my young daughter is very sick. Please, please come put your hands on her so that she will be healed." Just then, someone from Jairus' house arrived and said, "Your daughter has died. Why bother Jesus any more about it?" But Jesus said to them, "Do not be afraid. She will be healed." Jesus followed Jairus to his house and Jesus followed Jairus to his house and saw his household weeping. "Stop your weeping. She is not dead, only sleeping." But they knew she was dead, so they laughed at Jesus. Then Jesus touched the young girl's hand and said, "Child, get up." And immediately the girl got up. Jesus told her astonished parents to give her something to eat. One day, Jesus was teaching a crowd of 5,000 people. As the sun was setting, he told his disciples to feed the crowd. "Oh, can you sit still?" "Oh, we have only 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish," they told him. "That's not nearly enough to feed so many people." Jesus gave thanks to God for the food and then broke the bread and had the disciples hand it out to all the people. The entire crowd ate until they were all full. And then the disciples gathered up the food that didn't get eaten, and the leftovers filled up 12 baskets.
There's many. But not too many.
Yeah, it's a lot. While he stayed behind to pray, that night Jesus sent his disciples out on a boat to cross the Sea of Galilee. But once the boat was in the middle of the waters, the strong waves prevented them from moving forward. As the sun was rising, the disciples saw Jesus coming towards them, walking on the surface of the water. At first they thought he was a ghost, but he said, "Do not be afraid," said Jesus. "Have courage. It's me." Peter came out of the boat and walked towards Jesus. Oh, but he became afraid and started to sink into the water. "Why do you have so little faith?" Jesus asked him as he took his hand to save him. When they landed on the other side of the sea, 2 men who were possessed by demons approached them and said to Jesus, "Son of God, if you must send us out of these men, send us into that herd of pigs over there."
I will take that.
"Go," said Jesus, and the many demons came out of the men and entered the pigs. Then,
fighters.
yeah, those are the demons coming out of the men. Then the pigs ran off a cliff and drowned in the sea.
Uh-oh. They're
Yeah.
going to die.
Yep. Jesus visited the house of Martha and Mary when he heard that their brother Lazarus had recently died. The sisters had laid his body inside a tomb 4 days before Jesus arrived. Yeah. Jesus said to them, "Your brother will come to life again. People who believe in me will never die. Do you believe this?" And they said, "Yes, you are the Son of God." What faith they had. They brought Jesus to the tomb and opened it. "Lazarus, come out," shouted Jesus. And Lazarus came walking out of the tomb alive. Jesus did many, many other things. In fact, if you tried to write down everything he did, you would run out of space for all the books that would have to be written. The end.